Welcome to the Brocade Campus Feature Explainer series. I'm Terry Henry. In this episode, we're going to talk about 802.1 AD, or what most people call Q and Q. So the point of Q and Q is to allow service providers, for the most part, it could be a hosting provider, it could be inside a private data center, but to allow 4095 VLANs inside of each one of their 4095 VLANs. So, for example, if I was a service provider, I only have 4095 layer 2 VLANs available in my infrastructure. But I don't want to coordinate VLAN numbers with my end customers. First of all, there'll be VLAN overlap, right? How many people run VLAN number 10? Probably the vast majority of my customers. So I can't say, hey, nobody else except this one customer is allowed to use this VLAN number. Two, I want my circuit that I give my end user customers to look like dark fiber, right? So I don't want to have to tell them, you can untag VLANs, you can tag VLANs, or you can only use these numbers, or to have the customer call me every time they want to add a new VLAN. I want it to look like a piece of dark fiber to them, so they can do whatever they want with it. Tag VLANs, untag VLANs, run OSPF across it, run BGP across it, and I don't want that to affect my other customers. I also want to be a point to multi-point network, or a multi-point to multi-point network, I should say. So it's not a point-to-point circuit where it's only one device talks to another device. If that end user customer has 20 different sites and they have the same VLAN in all those sites, that's fine with me. Again, I want this to look like dark fiber, but even better than dark fiber, I want it to be a multi-point solution. So 802.1 Q and Q says, for each one of my customers, I only need to designate one VLAN number, and then I just drop that VLAN off wherever that customer has a premise, and then it's up to them what they want to do with it. So really, really simple to configure. We just need to deal with tag types, right? So the default tag type for an Ethernet frame, a tag frame, is 8100, and so we are going to designate some ports as tag type 9100. It doesn't have to be 9100. It could be anything other than 8100 in order for us to designate which one is an end user port and which one is a core port. So it just lets us put it into port groups, if you will. So what's going to happen is I've got a customer premise out here running VLAN 100 tagged into the service provider, and I've got another one on the other side tagged in VLAN 100 out to the service provider. But VLAN 100 will never show up in this service provider network, right? So it could be more than that. It could be 100, 200, 300. I could send 4095 VLANs through that link through each one of the VLANs in here, right? So I'm going to say this customer gets VLAN number 1000, and I'm going to tag it from service provider core to core, and then untag it out to customer edge. So what happens is, if a packet comes in tagged or untagged, but tagged in this case with VLAN 100, I'm going to then wrap another VLAN number in front of their original. So I'm going to bump over VLAN number 100 and insert VLAN number 1000, carry it across my network, right? It gets to this untagged side, so it's going to strip out VLAN number 1000, put back VLAN 100 into its proper place, and hand it off to the other side. So regardless of what comes in one side, we'll just insert our own VLAN number, and then when it egresses, we'll drop our VLAN number off. And so if it comes in untagged without a VLAN number, that's okay. We just insert VLAN 1000 over to here, drop VLAN 1000 out, off, send it back out untagged to the other side, and these devices on each side are none the wiser. They have no idea that Q and Q is running, or there's any magic taking place in the meantime. So let's have a look at how we do that. So this is actually, before we do that, let me look at one of my edges. I've already got the edge devices configured already. So if I do a show run on this guy, I have VLAN number 100 here. I have a tagged interface, so that's going into my service provider. I have an IP address in there, so I can ping the other side. I'm also running spanning tree, just so that we can see that there's layered control packet connectivity. and I've given an IP address of 100.0.0.1, so the other side is 100.0.0.2, and I turn on OSPF. So let's just make sure that we can see the other side, not just from ping, but I also want to make sure that we have got OSPF connectivity to show you the control packets are crossing that link. Okay, so the other side, the configuration is exactly the same. So right now, if I ping 100.0.0.2, I'm not going to get any response, right? Because there's nothing configured in the service provider network at the moment. Also, show IP OSPF neighbor is not going to show me a neighbor. But when I'm done, when I have that connectivity, that should be there. So we're going to go over to the first service provider device, config T. So I'm going to create my VLAN number 1000. And I'm going to tag E1/2/1, which is our connection between the two service provider boxes. Okay, and then I'm going to untag E1/2/2. Okay, so again, untag means I'm going to strip that Q and Q header off as it egresses my network and give it back to the customer the way it came in. Okay, so that's all I have to do for the VLAN. Now, if we have a look here, if I do a show VLAN, I've got VLAN 1, which is our default VLAN, and I've got VLAN 1000. So I do not have a VLAN 100, and even if I did, when I'm done here, that VLAN 100 would not talk to those edge devices, right? So I could use VLAN 100 for another 4095 VLANs for another customer. Okay, so then what do I need to do? So I need to differentiate between the service provider network and the customer edge premise network, right? So I need to set a different tag type. So as I said, my default tag type is 8100. So I need to designate one of those, so I can either make my core a different tag type than the edge, or make my edge a different tag type than my core. So I'm actually going to make the edge a different tag type. And it's just used for differentiation with inside the box. So I'm going to go tag, and tag profile is the command, and then we set it to something other than 8100, right? So we'll set it to 9100. Okay, and then on the port, on the customer edge port, so interface E1/2/2, the one I untagged, I'm going to apply this tag profile. So it's tagged -profile again, and then I want to enable it. So whatever I've set globally, that's what I'm going to enable on that edge. Okay, so that's it for this device. Now I'm going to go to the other switch in my core, and there could be many, right? There could be 10 switches, 100 switches in the core. It doesn't really matter. But in this case, I'm going to build the same configuration. So VLAN 1000, right? I'm going to tag E1/2/1, which is my interconnect between the two. I'm going to untag my port out to the customer edge. Okay, so then I'm going to create my global profile. So tag -profile 9100. Those have to be the same, of course. You can't have a different profile type. And then go to the interface 1/2/2, right? And then tag -profile enable to turn that on. Okay, so I've now created a tunnel. So if we look at my configuration here, I have VLAN 1000. I do not have a VLAN 100, so VLAN 100 does not exist anywhere inside the service provider network at the moment. I've tagged my link in between the two switches. I've untagged my link out to the customer edge. Okay, I've set up a tag profile of 9100, and then I applied that tag profile onto my customer edge port. Okay, so really that's all I should need to do. So if I do a show FTP neighbor here, show FTP neighbor detail, I should say, I have 1/2/1, right, is my connectivity over to the other device. So its tag type is 8100. So this is my other core box, right? It's tagged on VLAN 1000, and then I have a edge port, right, on 100.0.0.1, on 1/2/2 on VLAN 100. Okay, so if I drop back out to one of my edge switches now, again, my edge switch, right, does not have VLAN 1000. It only has VLAN 100 on it, tagged out to the service provider core. It's got an IP address on it of 100.0.0.1. So prior to this, before we set up Q&Q, we could not ping that other side. Now we can. So now we have connectivity. Even though VLAN 100 doesn't exist in the core, I have full connectivity now. And I also should have show IP OSPF neighbor. Oops. Now shows me that I have a full neighbor relationship with 100.0.0.2 at the other side. So Q&Q is fully working. And the beauty of that is that those service provider VLANs can't talk to each other. So if I create VLAN 1001, I can have another customer on that, and 1002 has another customer. So from a security perspective, those customers are fully secured within their VLAN, and all their VLANs are never going to see another user VLAN. So yeah, usually used in service providers, sometimes hosting providers, sometimes even in something like a hotel or somewhere like that. But anyway, really easy to set up, much easier than MPLS. It doesn't quite have the QoS capabilities of MPLS and or the traffic engineering capabilities, but you can do it on some low-end product, the lowest end of the edge switches support Q&Q, and it's quick and easy to set up. So there we go. Good luck, and thanks for joining.